This is Top 30. Britain was hit by a terrorist attack on Friday when a bomb exploded on a London Underground train. And here is the latest. At least 22 people have been hospitalised, mostly from burn injuries. The explosion happened at the Parsons Green subway station at about 8:20 local time, the height of morning rush hour. Some passengers described what they saw as a wall of fire. One commuter recalled the terrifying scene, saying, quote, "I ran for my life, but there was no way out. The doors were full of people and the carriage was too packed to move down." A commissioner with the Metropolitan Police said, quote, "This was a detonation of an improvised explosive device." The BBC reports there was a white bucket on fire inside a shopping bag with wires sticking out of it. It also had a timer. Authorities have increased security around London's transit system and are asking for citizens to remain vigilant. Prime Minister Theresa May tweeted her support for the emergency responders. President Donald Trump has already received heavy criticism for his response, referring to the loser terrorist. In fact, Theresa May has rebuked him for claiming the suspects were known to the police, saying, quote, "I never think it's helpful for anybody to speculate on what is an ongoing investigation." London's Mayor Sadiq Khan issued a statement on Facebook saying the city will, quote, "never be intimidated or defeated by terrorism." This is a developing story and we'll keep you updated.
News doesn't come much bigger than news about Target. The big box retailer has announced they'll be adding 100,000 jobs for the holiday season. According to CNN, temporary workers will get perks like a 10% discount both at the store and online, and 20% off fruits, veggies, and other wellness products. In addition to creating more jobs, Target has announced it'll be slashing prices on thousands of their household and grocery items. This includes things like razors, toilet paper, cereal, baby formula, and paper towels, just to name a few. It's likely in response to Amazon cutting prices at Whole Foods when they took over last month. So the bottom line is that whether you work at Target or shop at Target, it's more money in your pocket. This is what's trending. NASA ended their 13-year Saturn mission on Friday morning when they deliberately crashed the spacecraft Cassini. Once it entered Saturn's atmosphere, it was pulled to the ground at 77,000 miles per hour. Berkeley estimates that Thursday's protest against right-wing Politico Ben Shapiro cost them $600,000. In the end, there were 9 arrests made, but no reported violence. Lady Gaga was forced to cancel her appearance at the Rock in Rio Music Festival in Brazil. She tweeted, "I was taken to the hospital. It's not simply hip pain or wear and tear from tour. I'm in severe pain. I'm in good hands with the very best doctors." Now, check out this whopper. 2 women gave birth in the same Burger King parking lot in New Jersey, just 1 day apart. Both women were on their way to the hospital when they were forced to pull over, and thus the little princes were born. Harvard University withdrew its invitation to Chelsea Manning after it sparked outrage and controversy. She's transgender and was previously known as Bradley. Bradley Manning was found guilty of stealing thousands of classified documents while in the Army and then releasing them to WikiLeaks. President Obama reduced the sentence and Manning walked free in May. Well, this week, the Institute of Politics at Harvard invited Manning to be a visiting fellow. After that invitation, CIA Director Mike Pompeo wrote a letter canceling his own speaking engagement at Harvard, calling Manning a traitor. And former CIA Deputy Director Michael Morrell resigned from his prestigious senior fellow position at the university, citing similar reasons. So after all of that, the university canceled Manning's invite. She sarcastically tweeted that she was honored to be the first disinvited trans woman visiting fellow at Harvard.
Strange new details have emerged in the case of American diplomats attacked in Cuba. The State Department has revealed that at least 21 American officials were affected by what the top US diplomat called health attacks. That number is much higher than previously thought. The Associated Press reports that what was at first described as a sonic weapon hit its targets with unbelievable precision. One diplomat described being jolted awake in Havana's Capri Hotel by a blaring noise. He moved a few feet and it vanished. Then came mysterious symptoms, hearing loss and speech problems. Several victims had different noises and had different symptoms. Some of the 21 victims have concussions, something experts say is all but impossible. Investigators from the FBI, State Department, and Canada's Royal Mounted Police have failed to find any evidence. The Cuban government has also denied involvement in the incident. A spokesperson for the State Department says the investigation is ongoing, but that, quote, "We will continue doing this until we find out who or what is responsible." A former CIA official summed it up perfectly well when he described the case as a mystery after a mystery.
Russell Westbrook made a slam dunk of a deal with the Jordan brand, extending his contract by a decade, poising him to become the brand's highest paid player in history. According to ESPN's Nick DiPaola, who broke the story, Westbrook's deal is the most lucrative total endorsement deal for a Jordan athlete to date. In 2013, Westbrook signed a 5-year contract to become the face of the Jordan brand, which included being the yearly face of Air Jordan. Since then, the NBA MVP established himself as one of the top players in the game, making the extension that much more exciting. The sweet deal reportedly includes signature Air Jordans for on and off the court that'll express Westbrook's eccentric style, making them unlike anything the Jordan brand has done before. Now let's go to Nicole Petalides at the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute.
In business news, implanted microchips might be getting here sooner than you thought. In fact, they're already using them in Sweden. Around 3,000 people have had chips put into their hands. They use them to get into buildings, pay for trains, even open their cars. While there are widespread security concerns, electronics experts say it's not a matter of if, but when. Google might be getting into the ride-hailing game. Alphabet, the parent company of Google, has been holding talks with Lyft. They are reportedly looking to invest about $1 billion. And JetBlue is hiring pilots. But get this, no flying experience is needed. The company is offering a new pilot training program. It'll run people around $125,000, take 4 years to get through it. When they finish, they'll start out making an average of $52,000 a year with the potential to earn as much as $125,000. The airline will be accepting applications through September 30th. More Top 30 when we return.
With DACA on the line, immigration is a really hot topic, which is why Nanachka Khan, the creator of the television show Fresh Off the Boat, teamed up with Larry Smith, the guy behind the celebrated 6-word memoir series for the fusion book 6 Words Fresh Off the Boat, Stories of Immigration, Identity, and Coming to America. According to the Huffington Post, the book tells the coming to America stories of celebrities, politicians, and everyday people like you and me, but in 6 words. Included in the book are the stories of actress and Russian immigrant Mila Kunis, who summed up her experience by saying, "A better life for our children." Additionally, diplomat and former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright described her journey by saying, "In 1941, I was a refugee." Khan's own 6-word story really sums up the experience and the idea behind the book. We exist because these stories exist. Who knew just 6 words could say so much?
Some flyers are now being charged $50 or more per bag, not for checked luggage, but for carry-ons. United calls it a gate handling charge. American Airlines calls it a gate service fee, but really it looks like a penalty. And here is how it works. If you buy basic economy tickets on American and United, you are not allowed to use the overhead bin. You're only allowed to board with one item, which has to go under the seat in front of you. And if you show up with a roller bag or other large items, the airline will happily check it at the gate for a $25 fee, and then they'll charge you an additional $25 so-called service fee, and it has to be paid on the spot with a credit card. The charges have been an unwelcome surprise for flyers buying basic economy tickets in an attempt to save money. According to the Wall Street Journal, a spokesperson for United declined to say why the service fee was added to the bag charge. It's amazing how creative and imaginative airlines can be when it comes to squeezing more money out of you and annoying you.
Could the secret to happily ever after be your age? Researchers at the University of Utah found the best age to get married for men and women is between 28 and 32 years old. That could be explained because people in that age range have made significant life choices, are likely to be in a decent financial position, and are not old and set in their ways, and are less likely to have ex-spouses that can take away time and money from the relationship. But not all sociologists agree and believe there are too many X factors to determine a perfect age to marry. They say divorce data is flawed because some states don't collect that information and couples are choosing to live together without ever getting married. So while a marrying age may be hard to figure out, researchers do agree on love, quality time, and understanding as being keys to a healthy relationship.
A disgruntled NFL fan is using a billboard to make sure his former favorite team knows how he feels about their move. This is the sign set up near the Chargers' home stadium before their Week 2 game in Los Angeles, the team's first ever home game in LA. The billboard cycles through 5 messages, including NFL standing for No Freaking Loyalty. That references the Chargers' move from San Diego to Los Angeles this offseason. Joseph McRae raised more than $10,000 to pay for the billboard. You can tell he feels a little jilted by reading his GoFundMe message, which says, "You may have been the most loyal and dedicated supporter, but it didn't matter in the end. Have you ever wanted to tell the NFL how you feel? This is your chance." Interestingly, the Chargers drove past the billboard, read it, felt guilty, and immediately relocated back to San Diego. No, of course they didn't. We'll be back in a minute.
In today's Hometown Stories, Norman, Oklahoma resident Todd Gibson was hunting with his 2 sons when his knife slipped and slashed his forearm. His adolescent sons immediately took over. The oldest drove while the other maintained pressure on the wound as they headed to the nearest hospital. A former police officer, Gibson, told the Norman Transcript he was grateful for his son's quick thinking. He said, "After all those years in police work, I never would have expected my 14-year-old and my 11-year-old to be my heroes." In our second story, Destiny Paris was on lifeguard duty in Montague, New Jersey, when a 3.5-year-old girl was seen drowning. When the girl was pulled from the water, Paris couldn't find a pulse. Paris started CPR and was able to revive the girl as EMTs arrived. Paris, who at 15 was the youngest lifeguard at the pool, had learned those CPR skills just 17 days prior. Paris told the New Jersey Herald, "I always wanted to work in the medical field, but now I know for sure I want to be a nurse." For our final story, Anthony Hamilton was hiking in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio, when he lost his footing near a cliff, falling between 40 and 100 feet. Luckily, Blake and Miranda Osborne saw him. Blake immediately hiked down, tending to Anthony while waiting for emergency crews to arrive. Osborne believes a higher power is responsible for saving Hamilton that day, telling the Record Courier, "We weren't planning on being on that trail, and I think it's a miracle in itself that he survived that fall." Teenagers always have a lot going on, but you know what they're not doing? Taking safe sex seriously. A new study reported by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention points out only 43% of teens are completing the vaccines needed to prevent human papillomavirus, or HPV. So why is this important? Because HPV is the most common sexually transmitted infection in America, and it can cause cervical cancer. About 79 million Americans, most in their late teens and early 20s, are infected. Some teenagers start the vaccine and only take 2 doses, but it takes 3 doses to complete it. Cosmopolitan magazine points out the HPV vaccine is controversial because some parents don't want to face the fact that their kids are having sex. And I get it, but listen, parents, the CDC reports every year 14 million new young people are infected. For more information, maybe give your doctor a call.
A new program out of Detroit is teaching former inmates the way around a kitchen so they can get jobs working in restaurants. According to Fox 2 in Detroit, Operation Able, as the program is known, is designed as a platform to help inmates at Ryan Corrections Facility break into the working world when they are released. Mary McDougall, the executive director of Operation Able in Michigan, said when they get out, they can work right away, and one thing we know is restaurants tend to be friendly to those with a record. Fox 2 also reported the mayor's office says of the 161 prisoners who took part in the job placement program, 25 are in food service and 7 of those currently have full-time jobs. The program exists thanks to non-profit partnerships and federal grants, from crooks to cooks. Keep up the good work.
You don't have to have the same blood to be family. And a video proving this point has gone viral, and I dare you not to cry. The video features Mark High opening a Father's Day gift from his stepdaughter, 26-year-old Lindsay Collins. He takes his time with the wrapping, but the payoff is worth it. When he realizes that his stepdaughter had given him adoption papers 17 years after being introduced as her mother's date, he loses it in the best way. The reaction is so sincere and has captivated thousands on social media. When asked why she did it, Lindsay told Inside Edition that Mark raised her since she was 9 and, quote, "He's been my dad my whole life, but now it's finally confirming everything." Let's face it, we all think our kids are brilliant, but if you tell them they're smart, you may be raising a cheater. At least that's what a new study out of the University of Toronto found. The research says it all comes down to how you're praising your children and the terms you use. Lead author of the study, Professor Kang Lee, says, quote, "Giving children the wrong kind of praise makes them dishonest." Let's break it down. They say praising a child's performance doesn't create unrealistic expectations of perfection, but repeatedly telling toddlers how smart they are adds an element of pressure to always succeed, making them more likely to cheat in school to attain those perfect grades. For instance, the study claims you should say, "You did very well," or "Good job," instead of "You're so smart." According to the study, it's a subtle but important difference. Top 30 will be right back.
More people than ever are cutting the cord, but are they saving money? Research firm eMarketer says that by the end of this year, more than 22 million Americans will have abandoned traditional cable, and that is an increase of over 33% from last year, which is dramatic for the television industry. It means that by 2021, the audience for pay television will have shrunk by 10%. Meanwhile, the number of people watching streaming services like Netflix has gone up by about the same number. Cord cutting began as a way to save money, but as one analyst told MarketWatch, quote, "Once you total up the cost of all of your digital platforms, and then if you're a sports fan too, you're probably not really saving money." And in a double not very good news whammy, while cord cutting is up, TV ad spending is down. eMarketer predicts the percentage of ad dollars spent on television will go down at least 1% a year for the next 4 years. And if this trend continues, that means that in the near future, we'll be down to a mere 300 television channels. How will we cope?
This could be your chance to live like an A-lister. Randy Gerber and Cindy Crawford are trying to get rid of their $60 million Malibu estate because the Hollywood power couple just purchased an elegant new mid-century mansion in the exclusive Truesdale neighborhood in Beverly Hills for $12.75 million. According to the Los Angeles Times, the Beverly Hills estate was bought from One Republic's Ryan Tedder and touts 5 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, a center island kitchen, banquet-sized dining room, swimming pool, spa, and fire pit on an acre of land. Earlier this year, Gerber sold Casamigos Tequila, the tequila company he owned with George Clooney, for $1 billion, making the $12 million spent on their new Beverly Hills home literally chump change for Gerber and his supermodel wife.
How many people actually get to the end of any of the countless memoirs written by politicians? The statistics site 538 analysed data from audiobooks.com on every presidential candidate who's written a book going back to the year 2000. They looked at the percentage of the book people listen to, as well as how many hours they listened for. People got through more of Senator John McCain's book, Faith of My Fathers, than any other, nearly 75%. By contrast, the average listener only made it through about 30% of Rand Paul's Taking a Stand. Things change if you look at the number of hours spent listening to the memoirs. President George W. Bush captured the most listeners by far. On average, they listened to his book for 12 hours. However, the president currently occupying the Oval Office had the second lowest number on the list. The average listener spent just over 2 hours listening to Donald Trump's Great Again. Only one memoir was ranked lower, It Takes a Village by Hillary Clinton. That village clearly had other things to do.
If Cali Burger has anything to do with it, your next burger might be cooked by a robot they're calling Flippy. According to Engadget, the technology behind Flippy was developed by Pasadena-based Miso Robotics and Cali Burger owner Cali Group to up productivity and diminish kitchen-based accidents. What makes Flippy different from other kitchen-based robots is its ability to learn new tasks thanks to its specialized AI software. Miso Robotics CEO David Zito says, much like self-driving vehicles, our system continuously learns from its experiences to improve over time. Once Flippy's probation period ends, it'll be rolled out to 50 Cali Burger restaurants around the world. So it's only a matter of time before AI kitchen assistants invade our own homes and jettonize our meals.
That is it for today's Top 30. Here are some stories coming up that are worth knowing about. Millennials got the biggest pay increase of any group last year. We'll explain what that means for you. The Emmys are finally here. We're breaking down the must-see moments from the biggest night in television. And finally, some good news for bald men. We'll have the results of a highly unusual study, and we'll see you next time right here on Top 30.